Today's video is on the transcendent planets. We're going to talk about Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto in connection with the current political climate and past histories of what these transcendent planets have evoked over generations of societies. Depending on who you are, you may be very inspired and enthusiastic about what's going on, and other people may be very, very troubled with the current climate of today's world. So currently we have Uranus in Taurus, which is an earth sign, and we also have Pluto in Capricorn, another earth sign. So we're seeing great changes in the world on the earth level. Neptune is in water. It's in its strongest sign of Pisces. So we're seeing lots of confusion, illusion, disillusionment. People may not know what to believe, if they even can believe what they're seeing on TV, on the news, media. It can be very confusing as to the nature of what to believe. So without further ado, let's take a look at the transcendent planets in more depth. All right, here we go. The current transits of the transcendent planets. Uranus is in Taurus from 2019 until April of 2026. So we still have roughly 4.5 more years of Uranus's transit through here. Uranus's cycle is 84 years to go around the zodiac, and it spends about 7 years in each sign. So here we see Uranus spends 7 years in Taurus. Uranus changes the way in which the world does things primarily through technology and machines. It causes citizens around the world to rebel as social values are turned on their head. So here we're seeing a lot of people working from home, creating YouTube channels, Rumble, all kinds of different technological ways to adapt to what's going on in the world right now. And we're also seeing a lot of change being evoked through this process of Uranus. We're going to see Uranus evokes rebellion, revolution. It wants to change the structure from an evolutionary level of we want to change the world in a different way, and people will rise against what is happening. They don't want the same structure that they once had. So Uranus's last two transits in Taurus, we saw in the United States. The United States dealt with slavery. The US also began drilling for oil during this time period. This is in the Earth sign. And in 1939, World War II began. That's just to give you an idea of the different kinds of changes the United States saw during Uranus in Taurus. The next sign is Neptune in Pisces. It's got a 164-year cycle around the zodiac, and it spends 14 years in a sign. Neptune moved into Pisces in 2011, and it will be there until January of 2025. So about 3.5 more years. So Neptune in its strongest sign, we see beliefs felt so profoundly and deeply that they cause a polarization, a separation, and a division among the people. We're seeing that today with everything going on. Everyone's like divided, different sides, different beliefs. They want different things. This is a cause of great confusion and disillusionment during this time. People may not know what is real from the unreal. This is due to the fact that Neptune is in its greatest strength, and people can't understand truth. Where is the truth coming from? What is the source? It's very difficult to see it because Neptune is the highest vibrational frequency. And if people aren't attuned to that, they have trouble understanding that. That's why I always recommend a transcendental kind of meditation that gets you in tune with that cosmic source that Neptune is, to help you deal with these things and kind of understand more profoundly what truth is, especially in these times. back in 1520 through 1534 solidified the Protestant and Catholic falling out. In 1684 through 1698 in France, we had the persecution of Protestants. So these are to give you an idea of what happens when Neptune is in its greatest strength. In the same time frame of France's persecution of the Protestants, we saw the persecution of Catholics as well. And lastly, and this is a big thing right now with what's going on in America and probably around the world, but back then, Darwin published his book, The Origin of Species, and Karl Marx came out with his Communist Manifesto about secularizing society. And here we see a revival going of Marx's manifesto with the push for types of socialisms and communisms here. And I believe that's probably one of the big things that the people will be fighting back against in the coming months as we see as the aspects of Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto get pushed. Now, Pluto's cycle is very long. It's 248 years ago around the zodiac, so it stays in a sign a very long time, typically between 12 and 32 years. Pluto's been in Capricorn for quite some time, since 2008, and it's going to remain there until 2024. Now, Pluto is a planet that is not to be messed with. It hits deep wounds. It hits usually psychological wounds, but here we have it in Capricorn, an earth sign. So it's going to be hitting things below the surface, especially in the political realm, because it's wanting to tear down structures. It's like the wrecking ball. Pluto wants to tear down structures and rebuild them. It doesn't want to be happy with the way things are. That's what transcendent planets do. They are not ever happy with the status quo, and they're going to dive, Pluto especially is going to dive deep down below the surface and expose corruption, what's bad, what's dirty. And it's been being exposed since 2008, but over the last 2 years, we've seen a huge exposure of the news, politics, everything in the governments. And we've also seen this through the censorship going on in social media. So here we go. This is a deep transformative process in the form of great upheaval in which people will be willing to give up their life and even die for. That's how serious this Pluto transit is. We are seeing this now worldwide in the current transit of Pluto. World economies will be challenged as the world fights for understanding as terms of relating to one another. In 1762 through 1778 was the time in which the United States struggled and fought for democracy, independence, and human rights against the British. Now, in the current climate and in this current transit of Pluto and Capricorn, Pluto is challenging in a drastic way all forms of entrenched power. Nations and individuals are participating in a fight for their freedom and will attempt to reorganize political structures that seek to enslave them. People in turn are seeking to create a new ideal global society. So there's two fronts working on this. One is globalists and globalism that want to control the entire planet. And then there's the revival of the individual that's looking to liberate them and free themselves of this global structure that seeks to dominate the entire world. So the liberation is would either go in this case with Pluto, is the rise up of the individual mass consciousness to liberate and free the individual person. On the other flip side, we have the goal of what we talked about with the Uranus and Neptune, with the Marxist revival of the group going into social communistic state. Now, will Uranus allow this to go that way, to where the political climate would continue to enslave people, but give people what they want in terms of social products like social insurance, um, socialized medicine, all these different things that it would be socialized, and also control the language that everyone can talk about, control um, religions and what can be spoken about, what can be preached about, what people can worship and who they can believe in? Or is it going to go to the individual that is free to express and create the reality that they want, which could be, small farming, more holistic things, you know, getting away from big pharma and where big hospitals and big pharma are controlling what doctors can and cannot prescribe and do medically. So this is the individual against the big tech, big government, all around the entire world. So this is a huge revival of these three transcendent planets, trying to show the world what is going on. And it's like a bifurcation going on right now where we have two timelines. Which timeline at the end of this wins out is what we will see in the future. So thank you for watching this video. If you would like a personalized astrology reading where we dive deep into your personal chart with all the transcendent planets and individual planets, please book an appointment at astrologywithjeffreybryan.com. And please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.